Jiho Park stepped off the transport shuttle and stared at the massive space station floating before him. Harmony 7 was huge, with spinning rings and glowing lights that stretched in every direction. He could hardly believe he was here. Just 3 months ago, he was fixing air conditioning units in Seoul. Now he was part of humanity's first cultural exchange program with alien species. The station commander, Yuna Choi, met him at the docking bay. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile. "Welcome to Harmony 7. Engineer Park. Ready to represent humanity?" Jiho laughed nervously. "I hope so. I still can't believe they picked me. You have experience with environmental systems and wellness facilities. That's exactly what we need." Yuna led him through bright hallways filled with beings he had only seen in videos. Tall blue creatures with 4 arms, small furry aliens that chirped as they walked. Others that looked almost human but with skin that shimmered like oil on water. His quarters were small but comfortable. Yuna explained his duties over tea. 3 alien diplomats have requested to learn about human social bonding practices. They specifically want hands-on cultural experiences. "What kind of experiences?" Jiho asked. "That's up to you. Show them what makes humans connect with each other." The next morning, Jiho met his 3 students in a conference room. The first was Velna, a Crixian from an ice world. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer with frost. She moved slowly, deliberately, and spoke in a voice like wind over snow. "I am pleased to learn about human warmth," she said. The second was Thyra, a Quellan from a desert planet. Despite this, she explained that her people lived underground in cool cities. She had golden eyes and copper-colored skin. "My people value knowledge above all else. I wish to understand human biology." The third was Reyna, a Vossian who came from a world covered mostly in water. Her skin had a slight green tint, and she wore a device that sprayed fine mist on her every few minutes. "I am here to study human resilience," she said in a clipped, military tone. Jiho felt nervous. These were important people, from important worlds. What could he possibly teach them? "Well," he began, "in Korea, we have something called Jjimjilbang. It's a bathhouse where people go to relax and bond. The most important part is the sauna. People sit together in the heat, talk, share stories. It creates friendship." Velna's eyes widened. "You create bonds through shared discomfort? I guess you could say that. But it's not really discomfort. It's more like shared experience. Everyone is equal in the sauna." Thyra leaned forward. "Fascinating. Heat as a social equalizer." Reyna crossed her arms. "If this is truly about bonding and not about testing endurance, would you demonstrate?" Jiho blinked. "You want to try the sauna?" "Yes," all 3 said together. He should have realized then that something was wrong. He should have checked their biological limits. But Jiho was excited to share his culture. "Sure. I'll set it up for tomorrow." That evening, Jiho prepared the station's recreation sauna. It was a nice room with wooden benches and heated rocks in the corner. He set the temperature controls and smiled. This would be great. Commander Yuna found him in the hallway. "Jiho, did you check the alien physiology reports?" "Not yet." "Why?" Her face grew serious. "Most alien species have much lower heat tolerance than humans. Be careful." "Don't worry," Jiho said. "I'll start them off easy." The next day, the 3 aliens arrived wearing special suits. "What are these for?" Jiho asked. "Temperature regulation," Thyra explained. "We were told to bring them." "Oh, you won't need those in the sauna. Here, I'll give you towels. That's the traditional way." The aliens looked at each other. Velna spoke first. "You enter the heat chamber with minimal protection? It's part of the experience. Don't worry, it's perfectly safe." They removed their suits slowly, wrapping themselves in towels. Jiho led them into the sauna. He had started it at 40 degrees Celsius, which felt cool to him. "We'll warm up slowly," he explained. The aliens sat on the wooden benches, looking around with curiosity. Jiho ladled water onto the hot rocks, creating steam. "This is called loili." The steam makes everything feel warmer. It's pleasant, Reina admitted. Jiho increased the temperature to 50 degrees. He began explaining the philosophy. In Korea, the sauna is where people really talk. Grandmothers give advice. Friends solve problems. Business deals happen. Something about the heat makes people honest. At 60 degrees, he noticed Velna's skin had changed color slightly. It was less blue, more purple. Are you okay? Sapin, fine, she said, though her voice was tight. Please continue. Thyra's breathing had become faster. Reina's skin looked dry despite her moisture device working overtime. But none of them complained. In fact, they kept asking questions. How hot does this typically get? Thyra asked. Usually about 80 or 90 degrees. Some people like it even hotter. Some, the three aliens went very still. Jiho increased the temperature to 70 degrees. He was finally starting to feel comfortable. He poured more water on the rocks and settled back with a happy sigh. This is perfect. Thyra's voice was strange. How? Are you not affected? Jiho looked at her, confused. What do you mean? This is just getting comfortable. We usually sit in here for 30 or 40 minutes. Velna made a sound like cracking ice. 30 minutes? At this temperature? Sure. Sometimes longer. My grandmother used to stay in for an hour. Jiho laughed at the memory. She was tough. Reina stood up suddenly, then sat back down. I believe there has been a miscalculation. Are you feeling all right? Jiho asked, finally noticing how they were all breathing hard. Perfectly fine, Reina said. Please, tell us more about your grandmother. Jiho talked about growing up in Seoul, about weekend trips to the Jimjilbang with his family. He talked about the different rooms, the cold plunge, the sleeping areas. The whole time, he kept the temperature at 70 degrees. The aliens listened with an intensity that pleased him. They were really interested in human culture. This was going better than he had hoped. After 45 minutes, Jiho finally suggested they try the cold plunge pool. It's traditional. After the heat, the cold feels amazing. The three aliens stood up very carefully. They walked to the door like they were moving through deep water. When they stepped outside into the normal station air, they all took deep, gasping breaths. Are you sure you're okay? Jiho asked, worried now. The cold pool, Velna said weakly. Please. The cold plunge was set to 15 degrees Celsius. Jiho went in first, gasping at the shock. Come on! It feels great after the heat. The aliens practically fell into the pool. And then, something strange happened. They all seemed to come back to life. Their breathing slowed. Their color returned to normal. They looked at each other, then at Jiho, with expressions he couldn't read. That, Thyra said slowly, was the most difficult thing I have ever done. Jiho's stomach dropped. What? No. That was a mild session. We barely got it warm. Reina laughed, but it sounded wrong. Warm? Jiho, that temperature would kill my people if we stayed too long. What? Velna floated on her back in the cold water, looking peaceful for the first time. My species survives in temperatures from -40 to 35 degrees. What you call barely warm is near our lethal limit. Jiho felt the blood drain from his face. Why didn't you say something? We didn't want to appear weak, Thyra admitted. And we were curious. How far could a human go? We had to know. The medical bay was clean and white, and full of alien equipment Jiho didn't understand. Unji Kwan, the station medic, ran scanners over the three aliens while glaring at Jiho. Heat exhaustion, she said. All three of them. What were you thinking? I didn't know, Jiho protested. They said they wanted to experience it. It's not his fault, Velna said from her medical bed. Her skin was back to its normal ice blue. We insisted. We had no idea humans were so thermally extreme. Unji's expression softened slightly. You're all lucky it wasn't worse. Another 10 degrees and we'd be having a very different conversation. Thyra was sitting up, holding a small device covered in blinking lights. This is fascinating data, though. May I show you? She didn't wait for an answer. A holographic display appeared in the air. These are the readings from the sauna. Jiho's core temperature remained stable at 37 degrees Celsius throughout the entire session. His body produced 1.2 liters of sweat for cooling. His heart rate increased only minimally. She swiped to another screen. Our readings, however, show we were all in thermal distress within 20 minutes. Reina leaned forward despite her obvious exhaustion. Your species treats what would kill us as relaxation. Jiho sat down heavily. It's normal for us. My grandmother did this 3 times a week. Children do this. Your children? Velna sounded shocked. Well, not at 90 degrees maybe. But yeah, families go together. Unji crossed her arms. Humans have a very efficient cooling system. Sweat evaporation, wide temperature tolerance, behavioral adaptation. We evolved on a planet with extreme climate variations. Clearly, Thyra muttered, still studying her data. Over the next few days, Jiho visited his new friends in their quarters. They had been cleared from medical but were taking it easy. He brought them tea and apologized for the 20th time. Stop apologizing, Reina said. We learned more about humanity in 45 minutes than we would have in months of reports. Thyra was writing something on her datapad. I'm compiling a report for the Galactic Council. This information is significant. What kind of information? Jiho asked. She turned the pad so he could see. It was filled with charts and numbers he didn't fully understand. But the title was clear: Human Thermal Tolerance, a reassessment of human environmental capabilities. Your species, Thyra explained, can operate comfortably in temperature ranges that would incapacitate 87% of known spacefaring species. You've built cultural practices around exposing yourselves to lethal heat. This has serious implications. Implications for what? Velna spoke up from her chair. Planetary colonization, warfare, rescue operations, environmental work. Jiho, you've just proven that humans can go places and do things that most of us cannot. From a sauna session? From your reaction to the sauna session, Reina corrected. You were genuinely confused that we were struggling. Which means humans regularly endure conditions they don't even think of as extreme. That's not just impressive, that's strategically important. Jiho felt overwhelmed. I just wanted to show you how Koreans relax. And you did, Thyra said with a smile. You showed us that human relaxation is other species' survival limit. That's valuable data. Word of the sauna incident spread through the station faster than Jiho could have imagined. Other aliens started looking at him differently. Some with respect. Some with what looked like fear. A few asked if the stories were true. Commander Yuna called him to her office. You've caused quite a stir, Engineer Park. I'm sorry, Commander. I should have been more careful. She smiled. Actually, you've done us a favor. The Galactic Council has been uncertain about humanity's role in the wider community. We're newcomers. Unknown quantities. But now? She showed him a message on her screen. They want a demonstration of human environmental adaptability. Official request. Official request. A demonstration of what? Everything. Temperature tolerance. Endurance. Survival skills. They want to understand what humans can do before they fully integrate us into galactic society. Jiho's head spun. Because of a sauna? Because you accidentally proved that humans are far more resilient than anyone thought. And they need to know what they're dealing with. That evening, Jiho met with Velna, Thyra, and Reina in the station's observation deck. They looked out at the stars together. Are you angry with me? Jiho asked. Angry? Velna sounded surprised. No, you've given us a gift. What gift? Understanding, Thyra said. Before that sauna, humans were just another species to us. Interesting, but not special. Now we know the truth. You come from a world that tried to kill you in every way possible, and you survived by adapting to everything. Ice ages, heat waves, droughts, floods. You didn't just survive. You thrived. And then you turned those survival skills into recreation. Reyna put a hand on his shoulder. Do you know what the most shocking part was? It wasn't your heat tolerance. It was your face when you realized we were suffering. You genuinely couldn't understand why we found it difficult. Your baseline for normal is our extreme limit. That's what makes your species terrifying, Velna added. Not your weapons or your technology. Your adaptability. Your tendency to take the worst conditions and build culture around them. Jiho didn't know what to say. The galaxy needs to know this, Thyra continued, and you're going to help us show them. 6 months later, Jiho stood in a demonstration arena on the galactic hub station Nexus Prime. Thousands of aliens, from hundreds of species, filled the seats. Commander Yuna stood beside him, along with 5 other human volunteers. Ready? She asked. Jiho looked at the equipment they had prepared. The sauna, the ice pool, the endurance course, the desert simulation. Ready as I'll ever be, an announcer's voice boomed through the arena. Today, humanity demonstrates its environmental capabilities. Please note, all activities you are about to witness are normal human recreational practices. The demonstration began with the sauna. Jiho and 2 other humans entered a chamber set to 90 degrees Celsius. They sat inside for 30 minutes, talking casually, occasionally pouring water on the rocks. Cameras showed their vital signs remaining stable. In the audience, aliens gasped and whispered. Next came the ice swimming. The humans jumped into water at 2 degrees Celsius. They swam for 10 minutes, then got out and did jumping jacks to warm up. Again, the vital signs showed minimal distress. More gasps from the crowd. The marathon demonstration was next. 3 humans ran for 2 hours at a steady pace. The explanation played over speakers. Human persistence hunting. Humans can run prey to exhaustion over hours or days. This ability allowed early humans to hunt animals faster and stronger than themselves. The desert survival demonstration showed humans operating in 50-degree heat, wearing minimal protection, rationing water efficiently. Finally, the Arctic demonstration. Humans, in basic cold weather gear, surviving in negative 30-degree temperatures, building shelter, making fire. Through it all, medical scanners showed the humans' vital signs, elevated but stable, stressed but not in danger, adapting. When it was over, the arena was silent. Then someone started clapping. Others joined. Soon the entire arena was filled with applause, and what Jiho assumed were alien equivalents. The Galactic Council representatives approached. There were 7 of them, each from different species. The lead counselor, a tall being made of what looked like living crystal, spoke. Humanity has proven itself exceptional. We offer you a position as environmental specialists within the galactic community. Your people can operate in conditions that would kill most of us. We need that ability. Yuna bowed. We are honored. But we must understand, another counselor said. Why do you do these things recreationally? You could simply avoid extreme temperatures. Jiho stepped forward. He hadn't planned to speak, but the words came anyway. Because our planet taught us that we couldn't avoid them. We had to adapt or die. So we adapted, and then, because we're human, we decided to enjoy it. We turned survival into culture, hardship into bonding. If we're going to suffer, we might as well suffer together and make friends doing it. The crystalline counselor made a sound like wind chimes. A very human answer. That night, there was a celebration. Aliens came up to Jiho wanting to hear about Earth, about Korea, about the Jimjilbang culture. He told stories about his grandmother, about weekend trips with friends, about the feeling of jumping into cold water after a hot sauna. Velna, Thyra, and Reyna found him on the observation deck later. Congratulations, Velna said. You've changed the galaxy's view of humanity. I still can't believe all this started because I wanted to share my culture, Jiho said. Thyra smiled. That's exactly why it worked. You weren't trying to intimidate anyone. You were just being yourself. And yourself happens to be terrifyingly adaptable. What happens now? Jiho asked. Reyna grinned. Now, You go back to Harmony 7. They're making you the official Human Wellness Coordinator. What does that mean? It means you get to keep teaching aliens about human culture, with proper safety protocols this time. They all laughed. Jiho stood outside the recreation sauna on Harmony 7. The new sign above the door read, Traditional Korean Wellness Experience. Aliens. Proceed with extreme caution. What humans call relaxing may be lethal to you. Below that, in smaller letters, but try it once. You'll never doubt human endurance again. Raina had added that last part. She had become a regular at the station, claiming she needed to study human training methods. Really, Jiho thought she just liked the challenge. A group of new alien diplomats approached. Is it true? One asked. The sauna incident? Jiho smiled. Every word. Wanna hear about it? They did. They always did. Inside the sauna, set to a careful 40 degrees Celsius, Jiho told the story. The aliens listened with wide eyes. When he finished, one of them asked, Can we try 80 degrees? Just to see? No, Jiho said firmly. We start slow, safety first. But in the corner of the recreation complex, the original sauna remained, the one set to 90 degrees. And every evening, human visitors to the station would go inside. They would sit and sweat and talk and laugh. The aliens would watch through the observation window, shaking their heads in amazement. One evening, Velna stood beside Jiho as they watched three humans casually enduring temperatures that would have killed her. You know what I realized? She said. What? That day in the sauna, I asked if heat was a social equalizer for humans. I was wrong. Heat doesn't equalize you. It reveals you. Under those conditions, you showed us who humanity really is. A species that looks at impossible conditions and says, let's make this fun. Jiho watched the humans inside. One was telling a story. The others were laughing. Steam rose from the rocks. My grandmother used to say that the sauna teaches you who you really are, he said. Heat strips away everything fake. What's left is truth. What truth did we learn about humans? That we don't give up. That we adapt. That we turn everything, even suffering, into a chance to connect with each other. He paused. And maybe that we're a little crazy. Velna's laugh sounded like ice cracking in spring. More than a little. But it's a good kind of crazy. Everyone. Across the station, humanity's reputation was growing. Environmental specialists, extreme climate workers, rescue teams, exploration units. Humans were going places other species couldn't go, doing jobs other species couldn't do, all because one engineer wanted to share his culture, all because of a sauna. Jiho's personal message system chimed. It was his grandmother, calling from Earth. He smiled and answered, Jiho, I saw you on the news. My grandson, teaching aliens about Jim Jilbong. Hi, Grandma. Yeah. It's been quite an experience. Are you keeping the sauna hot enough? Nothing worse than a lukewarm sauna. Trust me, Grandma. For them, it's hot enough. Good. Make sure you teach them the right way. Cold plunge after. Always. And don't forget to hydrate. I won't forget. After the call ended, Jiho sat in the observation deck and looked at Earth. A small blue planet that had tried to kill its inhabitants with ice and heat and drought and flood. A planet that had created humans in response. Adaptable. Stubborn. Resilient. And apparently, terrifying. He thought about the sauna. About the heat that had changed everything. About three alien friends who had risked their lives to understand his culture. About a galaxy that now saw humanity differently. All because people like to sit in hot rooms together. All because somewhere, thousands of years ago, a human had discovered that sweating together created bonds. All because humanity had turned survival into an art form. The station's evening cycle began. Lights dimmed. Artificial stars appeared in the ceiling panels. And down in the recreation complex, the sauna stayed hot, waiting for the next person brave enough to try it, human or otherwise.